I decided to do my research on the film Stand and Deliver, mostly because it connects to the Mexican American community, especially in a young generation, the one where we live upon. This story is about a engineer, Jaime Escalante, who later takes a job at Garfield High School in East Los Angeles as a mathematics teacher in a very Hispanic neighborhood, or in other words, a very place where there's a lot of minorities. The school in general is known to have failing and poor academic results, but Escalante has a philosophy in which he believes that the students will require much more better expectations than those that were given before he arrived at that school specifically. So he wanted to teach the students that there is much more to than failing a class or skipping class. Jaime Escalante later realized that his students had much more potential than a lot of people believed. So he decided to make an advanced placement class where it involves calculus and very hard critical mathematics. A lot of people did not realize or even believe that his class was capable of doing so, but he knew that in the right hands, they would. The classroom itself involves a lot of different people with different perspectives in school. But Jaime Escalante figures a way to get into every single one of them and just trying to understand his students in a better way for them to succeed in school and not just doing whatever they want. As a teacher, Jaime Escalante teaches his students how to be individuals and treats them like individuals themselves. He gives them high expectations to work up to. What he teaches his students is that just because many don't believe in them, it doesn't mean to give up. It doesn't mean to give into those low expectations and prove those people wrong. As the years pass by, he upgrades his level into mathematics skills into his students. So the more time passes by, the more he wants them to get into calculus. So he makes them sign a contract in which they agree into signing up for calculus classes through Saturday, through the weekends, through holidays, and just very straightforward into this commitment in what they're about to begin for their senior year. And they could get the college credit that they need to just go way beyond their studies.
You can't teach logarithms to illiterates. Look, these kids come to us with barely a 7th grade education. Now, there isn't a teacher in this room who isn't doing everything he possibly can.
I'm not. I could teach more.
I'm sure Mr. Escalante has good intentions, but he's only been here a few months.
Students will rise to the level of expectation, Senor Molina.
All right, what do you need, Mr. Escalante?
Ganas. That's all we need is ganas.
What's ganas?
This video shows how much the own school of these students have made them inferior and made themselves superior.
Oh, right or left? Go right! Go right!
All you see is the turn. You don't see the road ahead.
Probably get pregnant, wouldn't finish college.
These are a few examples as to why these students were very attached to this teacher, just because he acknowledged the problems that they had at home, the very low expectations their own parents had of them, or the fact that they thought going to college was just useless. He'd teach them that it's way more beyond that and that they should just strive for better. Just because someone else gives them less does not mean they should accept it. This story just shows how the Mexican American household had very effect on the teenagers itself. Now it's a very different story. A lot of parents want their kids to go to college and make worth of what they sacrificed from leaving Mexico to live in the United States and give them a better life. But before that, it was way different. Of course, now it's much better and it's improved. I honestly rewatched this film and I love the fact that this teacher just wanted to prove these students that just because a lot of people deny them, and throughout the lives of the Mexican American community, we are underestimated by many people, especially the superior race. But now things should change, and things have changed for the better. Of course, there are differences here and there, but this film gives a more in-depth perspective. Eventually, Jaime Escalante does help his students pass the AP calculus exam, earning college credit. The first time they passed, they were questioned by authority, even though they worked very hard through the summer, through nights, and just putting everything aside and putting their studies first and taking advantage of the opportunities that they were given by Jaime Escalante after they had to retake the test because they were underestimated and just denied the request of succeeding, basically. So the second time they took the exam, they did pass it again. So they proved the authorities and all the teachers that of Garfield High School wrong. The Mexican American community, we are underestimated. We are given lower expectations, but because this whole community has developed in a much more better perspective, we are able to rely on our own expectations and just succeed through those.